Lost revolutionized television more than 20 years ago, changing the way that we actually watch TV today. So I thought it was finally time to head back to the island and see how well it holds up today. Now I'll be covering season 1 episode by episode, with no spoilers beyond the episode we're discussing. But expect a few cheeky jokes, little asides and inside jokes for fans of the series, along with moments of hindsight along the way. If you like this format, let me know in the comments and give the video a like so I know you want to see more retro recaps. Let's get into it. Episode 1 of Lost Season 1 starts with Dr. Jack Shephard awakening in the woods. He's briefly greeted by a dog that rushes off into the underbrush, and he's banged up and has a pretty nasty gash on his back. Before Jack can look any further, he rushes down to the beach where he finds the remains of Oceanic Airlines Flight 815. It's absolute chaos, and the production team have clearly
spared no expense.
Jack immediately gets stuck into helping everyone, and we get brief glimpses of different characters we'll be following this season, which includes Michael settling into his usual mantra of shouting for his son Walt, Shannon screaming, and Charlie wandering around aimlessly. There's also an 8-month pregnant woman here too, called Claire. Jack somehow finds time to reassure Claire that everything's going to be okay, despite the fact someone literally gets sucked into a jet engine moments before, causing a huge explosion. In the aftermath of helping various individuals, punctuated by another spectacular blast, Jack heads into the woods alone, where he finds a quiet spot to patch himself up. Thankfully, a woman called Kate is nearby to help. We also see that Jack has some intriguing tattoos on his arm. I really hope we'll get some more insight into this in the episodes ahead to figure out the origin of these. We also get our first glimpse of resident bad boy and our season's anti-hero, Sawyer. While he stares wistfully into the distance, Saeed enlists Charlie's help with starting a fire. As it burns, Saeed questions where the help is even coming for them. Back on the beach, Kate is concerned when Jack tends to a man who was sitting in the seat next to her. Who is he? Well, we'll find out very soon. Now as they talk, the pair mention how the front and tail end of the plane have come apart, and it seems like both are lost. No pun intended, of course. While the tail end appears to be out of the question, Jack deduces the best way to get rescue is to track down the cockpit. The transceiver in there could help them send a signal out, and Kate actually saw smoke through the valley too, where it appears to have landed. Speaking of smoke, now's probably a good time to segue into one of the show's biggest mysteries. An ominous low roar echoes through the forest as the trees begin to sway. The sound is a disturbing blend of mechanical and animalistic, hinting that something far more sinister is lurking in the woods. Now flashback this episode sees Jack back on board the plane and drinking heavily. As he gets up from his seat, a man pushes past and races to the front of the plane. Before we get a glimpse of who this is, Turbulence sees Jack forced to put his seatbelt on and hunker down. Rose, the woman Jack saved earlier, is actually sitting across the aisle from him. He tries to reassure her that everything will be okay, while her husband is still in the bathroom. Moments later, the oxygen masks drop and the plane begins to plunge. Back in the present, Jack and Kate head out in search of the cockpit. They're not alone though, as they're joined by Charlie. While they're out, Hurley suggests dealing with the bodies inside the fuselage, while John Locke sits by the beach, eating an orange in the most bizarre way possible.
But why?
He doesn't even flinch at the sudden downpour of rain either, so given the fact he hasn't spoken yet, could he possibly be British? Back with our trekkers, Charlie reveals he's part of the band Driveshaft. Kate's heard of them, but it doesn't ring a bell for Jack. I mean, maybe Jack was off getting tattoos at the time, who knows. Now as they continue on, they eventually stumble upon the cockpit. They make it inside and look for the transceiver, only to realise the pilot is still alive. Unfortunately, he gives them bad news. It's been 16 hours since they crashed, and 6 hours into their flight, their radio actually went out. They turned back to land in Fiji, but once they hit turbulence, they were thousands of miles off course, so while rescue could be coming, it's going to be arriving in the wrong place. Now while they talk to the pilot, Charlie takes a break in the toilet. When Kate catches up to him, he's acting visibly shady.
When you gotta go, you gotta go.
Unfortunately, the group find themselves cornered by whatever this monster in the woods is. As the pilot heads up to take a look, something snatches him and throws the guy into the trees. Episode 2 of Lost Season 1 starts with Jack, Charlie and Kate wandering through the woods. Kate questions Charlie about his bathroom break on board the cockpit, and he explains he was vomiting in the toilets. Kate reassures him that he's not a coward. Now flashbacks here help to flesh out more of Charlie's character. Remember that guy who pushed past Jack on the plane? Well, it turns out that was Charlie. He's actually a heroin addict and massively paranoid as a result. He races towards the front of the plane in these flashes and locks himself inside the bathroom, removing the heroin stashed inside his shoe and dropping it into the toilet. Now Charlie doesn't flush though, as just before he does, we hit turbulence. He rushes out, scrambles into a seat and puts his oxygen mask on. Away from the others, we catch a glimpse of Jin and Sun. They're a Korean couple that don't speak English, which make them prime candidates for this episode's edition of Where's Walt? Yep, Michael's lost him again. Walt is actually desperately trying to find his dog, Vincent. Now Vincent is a dog we saw across episode 1, but instead of his pet, Walt finds a pair of handcuffs. Someone on board the plane was very clearly a fugitive. Now Michael immediately brings it back to camp, prompting resident self-appointed sheriff Sawyer to go after Saeed. Jack breaks up the fight and takes charge, diffusing a very tense situation. Their more pressing concern though comes from the transceiver itself. If they can't get this going, they're never going to get rescued. Now Saeed should be able to help though, given his history as a military communications officer. He actually fought in the Gulf War too, but he needs some time to work on it.
2 seconds later.
Saeed has managed to work the radio. Damn, this man is very good. He explains that they're not picking up a signal, so the solution he's come up with is to reach higher ground in the hopes they can pick up some sort of reception. Given the battery might not last long and has a massive mountain right on their doorstep, it seems the solution is to go climbing. Jack reluctantly hangs back, given Shrapnel Man from episode 1 is in trouble. He's not looking too hot, and Jack needs to pull out the shard of metal and fix him up with some antibiotics, otherwise his injury could become infected. Since rescue isn't coming, this seems to be the only solution. Jack sends Hurley to search the wreckage for antibiotics, while Charlie takes some me time to get reacquainted with his stash of heroin before setting off on this hike. Now Boone and his sister Shannon have continued butting heads across both episodes, and they decide to go along on this hike, while they're also joined by Sawyer too. Now one of the more significant scenes in this episode, it all stems from what appears to be a simple game of backgammon on the beach. John Locke sets up the board while Walt catches up with him. He reveals his mum got sick and passed away a few weeks ago, and they've moved around a lot. He's very clearly estranged from his father, Michael. Locke explains that backgammon is played by 2 players with 2 distinct sides. One is light and one is dark. Walt is fully locked in here, so Locke leans forward and decides to share a secret with him. Back in the woods, Sawyer and Saeed almost butt heads again until they're suddenly attacked by a polar bear. Everyone scrambles off, except Sawyer, who immediately brandishes a gun and shoots the animal dead. Now in the aftermath of this, Sawyer admits he got the gun from the US Marshal on board the plane, prompting Saeed to point the finger and believes Sawyer is the prisoner. Kate then takes the gun apart, following Saeed's instructions with suspicious ease for someone apparently handling a weapon for the first time. Now at this point we jump back in time and see precisely who the prisoner is. It's Kate. The man next to her is the US Marshal, and he taunts her as they head back to the States. Turbulence hits and a suitcase immediately bashes a guy in the head, knocking him clean out. Now Kate scrambles for the keys, frees herself from the cuffs before the tail end of the plane is ripped off entirely. Back on the beach, Hurley helps Jack as they try to patch Shrapnel Guy up. Hurley is seriously struggling with blood, and he winds up passing out once the shrapnel is out. At this point, it should be clear that Shrapnel Man is actually the US Marshal, and he immediately asks where she is. Now meanwhile, Saeed and the others manage to get a bar on the radio. There's feedback too, and Saeed realises something is already broadcasting, and it's in French. Now we see why Shannon is here. She can actually speak French, and she translates the words on this message. Please help me, please come get me, I'm on the island alone, and the others are dead. It killed them all. This distress call has been playing non-stop for 16 years and 5 months on repeat. As the group stare out across the island, Charlie asks a question now hanging over the entire story. Guys, where the hell are we? So Lost rounds out its double bill pilot with a stacked collection of mysteries and plenty of unanswered questions. Even this early in the season, the character dynamics are already beginning to take shape, while smaller personal mysteries sit alongside the much larger questions surrounding the island. John Locke's explanation of backgammon is an especially significant moment here, and his description of 2 opposing sides, one light and one dark, adds another intriguing layer to a scene that initially appears completely innocent. The radio broadcast also offers the first real glimpse into the island's history, although it is quite amusing that Shannon's main purpose on this expedition is just to provide emergency French translation. Charlie asking where the hell are we is the perfect way to close the pilot out and leave viewers desperate for the next episode. Part of the reason this works so well is that the flashbacks answer just enough to keep the story moving. We're given the identity of the prisoner, a reason for Charlie's erratic behaviour, and why rescue teams are searching in the wrong place. Each answer provides another question, but I'm sure the writers will eventually resolve absolutely everything in a straightforward and universally satisfying manner. Thanks for watching, and do let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Smash a like or subscribe to the channel, your support is very much appreciated. I'm Greg Wheeler, and from all of us over here at The Review Geek, we'll see you on the next video.